Hey there, Knicks fans. The NBA season does not let an injury rule out your bet. Other sportsbook let injuries box you out, but Fanatics Sportsbook's fair play protects all bets from first half injury. So if your player goes out with an injury, Fanatics keeps your bet on the court. Make the switch and get more ways to win with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning, it's different here. Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing on this sunny, wonderful, amazing morning where the vibes are immaculate and nothing is wrong? I'm so happy to be here with you because, A, I love all of you out there. But if I'm just being honest, it's mostly because I get to catch up with a buddy who I have not seen and talked to in some time because he is busy covering New York's more esteemed football team. You know what? I'm going to have to ask him about that. Of the New York Giants, John Schmeelk. Hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, and it's not been the best year, John. But on the bright side, I've become really, really skilled at coming on after the team I follow loses a game. So I think you picked the perfect guy to come on and talk to you after that Nick loss to the Celtics. And I even wore the Knicks Film School we built for this shirt from the playoffs last year, despite the loss. So
a couple things. That shirt is in honor, of course, of it was in honor of that team, which, boy, how the 24-25 Knicks will age in terms of how we look back on that team. We can't possibly know that now, but that I'm so interested in like how we look back on that specific year last year.
I honestly think we're going to look back on them well. I think, and do you know what did it for me? It was how well the Pacers did in the finals against the Thunder. Like they could have, if Halliburton doesn't get hurt in Game 7, they might win that series. Like you just don't know. So the fact that they lost to a team that I think was a lot better than we thought they were when the series started made me feel a lot better about the year. You know what I mean?
I wonder if the Cavs feel the same way. Somehow I don't think that they do.
I don't think they do. Oh, and that's too bad.
It really is. And number two, Mikal Bridges is obviously featured on that shirt, and he is coming off of definitely one of his top 3 games as a Knick. I mean, it's tough because they lost, so it's tough to put it above the Spurs game and above the Blazers game from last season. But it was a pretty phenomenal fucking game, and John,
you know me. I've always been a Bridges guy, so I have very much enjoyed. Yeah, last year I was kind of standing alone, along with some other people, defending Bridges. I'm like, guys, trust me, he's a good player. You're going to be happy with this, and I think we're seeing it this year, and I think that's the thing that's maybe been most encouraging to me, and that's actually one of my questions that we're going to go through today. Is Bridges related?
So that's what we're going to do today. We're doing our top 5 Knicks questions, a quarter of the way through the season. On Bridges, though, it's almost I'm starting to suspect that maybe him and the last coach were not on 100%, the same wavelength.
Just the level of joy he's playing with this year. It's God. But I will say this too, and this is not Tom Thibodeau related at all. He did fix his shot. His shot looks legitimately different, and his form, and that has gone a long way towards him being a better offensive player. By the way, going all the way to the basket more, taking less fadeaways, that's a player thing. I'm guaranteed Tom Thibodeau is not telling him, hey, don't take the layup and draw a foul. Take the 6-foot fadeaway instead. So some of this is very much Bridges related, but I agree with your larger point.
It's interesting, and that gets into, and you have so much experience with this covering the Giants for years, that gray area of so there's clearly a thing that maybe a player is not doing that the player could get better at, and in this sense, the player is getting better at that. But where is the overlap between that stuff and I don't know what other word to use, the vibes, how the player is feeling and experiencing the locker room every day and coming to work every day. And I always am curious about how much overlap there is between those two things.
And look, we have gone through that with the Giants this year as they've moved on from a head coach. They moved on from a defensive coordinator. So we've had those conversations a million times on our Big Blue Kickoff live show on Giants.com that, is this a player execution thing? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a combination? And in the end, it's always a combination of the two when it really comes down to it. But I always, and this is my general philosophy as someone that played sports my whole life growing up, I always put more on the players and the coaches because you're the guy on the court, on the field. And you control yourself and your destiny and how hard you want to play and how you want to play. And you can overcome even bad direction sometimes. So I'm always going to lean towards the player side of things just because they're the guys that are doing it.
I will get the requisite Giants question out of the way, and then we will turn fully to Knicks talk. I was thinking about which way I wanted to go with this. I'll go with a dart. 1 to 10 confidence level. Not only that he's the guy, but he is enough of the guy to like whatever else may be going around or on with the organization. Obviously, you got to find a coach, the whole thing. Like, because we have this guy, things will be okay. Where are you at?
Believe it or not, you're the first person to phrase that question to me that way, which is kind of crazy. You figure all the phone calls I take daily, I would get that question. I'm generally one that's patient, and I don't like to go too far in or out either way. I think most fans are at an 8 or a 9, to be honest with you. I'm probably more in that 6-ish to 7-ish range just because there's only been 8 games. I've seen CJ Stroud play like 18 games as a rookie and then come back the next year and not be very good. I've seen really strange things happen in the NFL. There's just so much parity in the league and guys can change so much year to year. Yeah. And frankly, I've probably just seen too much and been scarred to the point where I'm just not willing to go all in and commit on anything because I've seen, whether it's the Giants or the Knicks, dude, we've seen too much. And
you're high on Jones too, though. A lot of people.
By the way, after Jones's first year, everyone was super high on Daniel Jones, and I go back to that. Like,
how's he doing this year? By the way,
he's doing darn well, and now he's playing on a fractured fibula. Playing through a fractured fibula. That dude is tough as nails, and which is why everyone in the building loved him.
Good for him.
I'm just not willing to after 8 games, cast my lot. John, as you know, like even when the Knicks started getting good, me and you were sitting here. Can we see 10 more games? Can we see one more year before we actually believe? Because I've just seen too much. So I think this is more of a psychological crutch for me than it has anything to do with Jackson Dart.
Well, that is a good transition because the Knicks have gotten past that point where we were texting each other and being like, we're really buying into this. And they are now at this point where, and I experienced it firsthand last night, and I experience it after every loss and over at our little app, chatnext.com, where the sky is like not every loss, maybe the sky is falling, but there's a lot of falling skies after every loss. Sure enough, last night they lose a 6-point game. Jalen Brunson plays atrociously. OG Anunoby is in street clothes somewhere. I don't think he's not at the games, right? Is it?
I have not seen him.
Yeah. So hopefully he's in like a bubble somewhere or a hyperbolic chamber
which, by the way, not a great sign. Probably indicates his return is not imminent.
Well, I mentioned this on the show the other day when Bagley tweeted out, it was several days ago, something like alluded to like looking good that he'll be back before the end of the year. I'm like, oh, we're seeing him on Christmas, aren't we?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, whatever. So like, look, there was a lot that went wrong last night that will get better. And it was a close game against a team that is good. Like the Celtics are good. And yet it's like, everything's terrible when they lose. I want to try to rein us back in today and think bigger picture. That's why I always love having you on, because you're very, very good at that. So, I'm curious where our questions will go. You gave me a hint earlier that you have some micro and you have some macro.
What do you want first?
What's that?
What do you want first? Macro or micro? I can give you either.
I told you it had you are setting the order.
Okay.
So I don't care if it's the most micro thing. I don't care if it's the most macro thing. I want your number one question for the rest of the season, like at the 20-game mark, what is your number one question that you, John Schmeelk, are most curious about this basketball team?
Why is the Knicks defense worse, and can it be fixed? And I think that in the end is going to determine whether or not this team, and I have a second question that'll kind of go along with this on the other side of the ball we'll get to. But the Knicks defense has not been the same this year, and we've seen it. It just is not as good. And I'll give you my working theory on it, and there's no stat to back it up. I believe that the Knicks improved offense, the way they're getting there by running more and shooting more threes, and also by having more player and ball movement. And I think generally speaking, the way Mike Brown plays offense, which, by the way, is aesthetically more pleasing and probably more effective than the way Tom Thibodeau played, also uses a lot more energy from players. And I wonder if that added use of energy on offense has taken away from some of the consistent defensive intensity that we saw the last couple of years with Tom Thibodeau. And I do wonder if that's just a product of how players are. Look, players have a finite amount of juice, right? And the minutes have not gone down appreciably. One of my micro questions, and I'll throw it in here, is that where's the minute police at, Macri? Jalen Brunson, only 0.7 minutes fewer per game this year than last. Towns is 1.5 minutes, and Bridges is 2.
I thought you were going a different direction with the minutes police, because last night, among the topics of conversation was, why did Mike Brown leave the bench that was not working very well in the second quarter for as long as he did? Right. So what's the opposite of the minutes police? I'm not going down that road.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think my point is that I wonder if the way they're being asked to play offense, because look, the Tom Thibodeau offense, John, as you know, with the guys that didn't have the ball, there was a lot of standing around, and you get a break. There's not so much of that this year with the way the Knicks play offense, which, by the way, again, is a good thing. The offense is better for a reason. I appreciate what they're doing there, but I do wonder if that's impacting the amount of consistent intensity, effort level, speed on rotations on defense, which I don't think has been the same this year as it's been in past years. I mean, last night, when they just targeted Brunson again and again and again and again and again in the fourth quarter on those pick and rolls, and they, instead of switching it, they doubled. The rotations off of those double teams were god-awful. They stunk.
They were bad, so I was looking at Jalen Brunson during the because it was clearly a decision that they made that the screener would come and that Bridges would stay on Brown, and that Brunson would not retreat with whoever the screener was.
Yep. And
I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's a gamble that 2 on the ball, and it's Jaylen Brown with the ball, you're going to be able to goad him into a turnover or something. But then there wasn't the backline activity, as you're referencing,
bingo,
to try to generate that turnover. And it was just like, all right, I'm just going to turn and I'm going to fire the ball over Jalen Brunson's head because he's 6 feet tall, and we're just going to play 4-on-3. We're going to get a good shot or something. And it was like, was that Brunson's decision? Or was that the game plan? I don't know. It didn't work for shit. So that was not ideal.
Yeah, and look, I looked at it too. And just for example, I brought up the player tracking data. Bridges this year versus last year, in terms of distance traveled per feet per game. He's about 900 feet less distance traveled, right? But his average speed has gone from 4.3 up to 4.74. So
oh, wow.
He is literally moving faster as he moves. Now he's moving less because he's playing 2 fewer minutes a game. But I do wonder, again, if the added pace and the energy being expanded on offense is impacting the defense at all. Again, I don't think there's any metric we can use to kind of determine that. And, throw in the fact that longer rebounds off of more missed 3-pointers, things of that nature. You push more on offense. I think that leads to maybe lack of floor balance, and you can guys push it back the other way on defense. I do wonder if that's just kind of a natural give or take here as you change your offensive style, if that's going to impact your defense a little bit.
I have another question on defense that I'll get to in a bit. I will just say where that is concerned, I'm having so the reason why I think 20 games in, it's very difficult to judge the defense is because there was an adjustment period initially where we talked a lot about guys over helping or helping off the wrong guys, or the closeout technique is not what it should be in this style of defense. And right when all that adjustment you would think would start to dissipate and they get more comfortable, OG Anunoby goes out with an injury. And I don't know, other than Rudy Gobert on Minnesota, and I honestly, maybe not even Mobley on Cleveland because they have Allen. I don't know that there's a more important defender to their team and what and how their team wants to operate than OG with the Knicks. Maybe that's just me being a homer, but I don't know.
No, I think you're right. By the way, when OG, Bridges, and Mitchell Robinson are on the floor together, the defense is really good.
Oh,
it's really good.
But that's the other reason why I'm not like, again, I have a defensive question, but I'm not, I guess I'm not as concerned with the defense as some others are because of the defensive number, specifically just with OG on the floor. When OG's on the floor,
I think that's fair. I think it's fair.
So we'll see. So my first question, you could tie it to the defense, but you could also tie it to several other things, which is, I want to read how I phrased it. What version of Mitchell Robinson are the Knicks getting? Are the Knicks getting the rest of the season? And I say this from a couple of perspectives, and I think it ties into a few different things. How much will he play? Meaning, how many games will he play? How many minutes can he play in a game? Defensively, is this it? And if this is it, then what is that? I like, how effective of a player defensively is the version of Mitch we're seeing right now? Because my eye test doesn't look great. And like, if you look at the on-off stuff, they're really not much better with him on the floor than when he's off, specifically on the defensive end. So that's a problem. And then bigger picture, and this is why this is my number one. If Mitch is not Mitch, like, I guess they're just going to roll with like predominantly with Towns at the 5 versus if Mitch does become Mitch again, how much does that reintroduce the double bigs as a major part of what they want to do? And major part, you could talk, is that 10 minutes a game? Is that 15 minutes a game? Are we talking about maybe Mitch starting again down the line? So to me, the Mitchell Robinson question hovers over literally everything else that you can talk about with this team: defense, offense, starting lineup, rotations, everything. And maybe that's putting too much on Mitch and where he's at, but that's where I'm at least.
I do not believe this team can win a championship with Karl-Anthony Towns as a starting 5. I think it would be very, very difficult.
Shit, man. Very sugarcoat that, or give me do a little something.
I think it could be. Look, is it impossible? No. I think it would be very difficult. Look, we saw the Celtics just attack the paint relentlessly yesterday with Towns at the 5, and they don't even have great penetrators on that team. And I think, look, we know his defensive deficiencies. It's baked in. I didn't even make that one of my questions because I'm tired of talking about it. We know what it is.
It's not one of my. I mean, what would be the point in asking a question that you know the answer to?
Correct. And I think for the Knicks to be a serious championship contender, Mitch maybe not, it doesn't have to be peak Mitch, but can it be 90% Mitch? And can you get him for 25 minutes a game at 90% Mitch? I think that's what we're looking for. And I'm with you. I think the best version of this team has those two guys on the floor just because it mitigates some of Towns' issues. Now, it takes away from his offense. We've been through that back and forth a million times. We'll need to do that again. But yeah, I think that is one of the long-term determinant things with the Knicks this year is, can Mitch be Mitch? Because I do think that's maybe the key based on the guys on the roster now of the individual players that have questions that could determine whether or not this team can win a title. I'm with you.
I didn't check it yet today. I'll check it right now. So here's the funny part. Mitchell Robinson, actually, man, I apologize. I misstated what I said before. I said the Knicks were only slightly better defensively with Mitch on the floor. That's not true. They're giving up 6.4 more points. You heard that correctly.
Are they really?
Per 100 possessions when Mitch is in the game. That means that is a 17th percentile number. That means for defensive, I'll be very clear, defensive on-off impact, Mitchell Robinson is in the 17th percentile of all players league-wide. Now, you could pick that apart and say, well, Brown is putting Mitch as in with like weaker defenders around him in the hopes that Mitch is going to prop that stuff up. Like 6.4 more points per 100 possessions. The only Knicks on the team who are worse than that are Jordan Clarkson, which not surprised, and interestingly enough, Josh Hart. Now, Hart's defense has it, as we know, it comes and goes. He has his moments. We also saw him turn it on for a couple of games there against Giannis in particular, and then I forget who they played. Or against the Raptors, I thought he defended well. And yeah, and this is the reason why I looked up the stat. With Mitchell Robinson on the floor, they are scoring more, 4.7 more points per 100 possessions. Now, every one of their others, their like effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, free throw rate is essentially the same as whether Mitch plays or not. Their offensive rebounding rate goes up by 15.5%.
And that's it. And that's it.
But again, is that what we're going after here? It's like we're just going to count on Mitch gobbling up all these offensive rebounds. And that's so we could sit here and have an hour-long conversation just about all the Mitch stuff. I don't want to spend that much time on it, but I think you see why it's my number one.
Yeah, I would be very careful about on-off numbers after 20 games too, because in a 20-game stretch, if you have one or two really bad games in there, it can skew everything. Like I remember you were talking about this a couple weeks ago, where Towns they were better defensively. At one point this year, they were better with him on than off defensively this year. And look,
they still are.
Are they still are? And I'm sorry,
4.5 points stingier, but I know where you're going.
I just don't believe it. I watch basketball, and I would like to see those Mitch numbers on and off with Towns, without Towns, and what that looks like for defense. I don't have that in front of me. I'm just curious what that would look like. I'm not sure what it would look like. I'm just curious.
The sample sizes are so small that I don't even know. Yeah.
So I'm not going to go nuts there. All right. So this is also
you're number 2 now.
Okay. Is the Knicks' second best shot creator good enough for the Knicks to win a championship? Where if a team takes away Brunson, or if he's not in the game, is their second best guy that they want to run their offense through? And I will let you determine who that player is.
I was about to say there's a different way you could ask this question.
And I will let you determine who that player is, and we can discuss that too. Is that player, is the Knicks' number 2 shot creator to run the offense, to and create shots for themselves and other people, good enough for the Knicks to make a championship run?
Man. Shot creator. They don't have a second shot creator.
And that's kind of the problem, isn't it?
Not in the, but isn't that why Mike Brown is here? In part to try to take what are a clearly skilled collection of players with Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and Karl-Anthony Towns and Josh Hart. Man, it's insane that when I was like, who's the next second best shot creator? Is it Josh Hart? I mean, when we go through the traditional definitions of shot creators, which is like you could do stuff with the ball, you can draw attention to yourself. Like Hart could put the ball on the floor, he could get into the lane. It's not Josh Hart, but just the fact that I even have to go through that mental exercise, I think speaks volumes.
I can tell you this question popped in my head last night as I watched Karl-Anthony Towns try to go behind the back on a dribble through 3 Celtics defenders. I'm just sitting
How
there
quickly did Brown get him out of the game after that?
And look, he had moments in the playoffs last year. A lot of it was against backup units in, second quarters and then the third quarters and stuff like that. And that's fine.
Sure.
It's still playoffs. They're still good teams.
Yeah.
Can you trust Towns to even take advantage of mismatches when teams eventually put wings on him? And we saw that again last night. Who the Celtics put on Karl-Anthony Towns for a good portion of that game. Jaylen Brown was covering him on some plays, right? Yeah. Can he, when he gets guarded by wings and teams just switch everything, can Towns punish even mismatches well enough, let alone, just creating his own shot in neutral matchups to give the Knicks that secondary scorer where he doesn't do enough, stupid things with his off arm? And my friend is a theory, by the way, that Towns does not control his left arm, where it basically acts on its own volition.
Maybe
and he has no control over it. Which, by the way,
maybe it's like The Exorcist.
A lot. It might be.
Maybe we need to bring in a priest to conduct an exorcism of Cat's off arm.
Yes, I think we might. But are you going to get enough consistent, non-idiotic play from him where he helps you win enough games in big spots?
So I got my guy Theo. He's one of our Knicks Film School interns here. He's helping produce the show right now. Shout out to Theo. He is a Wolves fan, and
is he really?
He actually writes about the Timberwolves. So He has watched all of Karl-Anthony Towns' career, and he just put in the chat, Wolves fans call it stray voltage. It's been a thing for 10 years. What a great call that is. This is why I need Theo here. Yeah, I mean, look, the notion that, look, I don't think there is any offense that is going to make it such that Karl-Anthony Towns is going to become a guy where you just give the ball to him and you just, that's your secondary creator. He is not, J-Dub. He is not, I'm trying to, Jamal Murray. He is not, pick any of these traditional number twos. Someone said in the chat, I'll actually look it up right now, who it is. Track Monkey, great name. Is like Mikal Bridges is their secondary shot creator. Well, look, Mikal Bridges is awesome. With all due respect to him, when teams don't play him in drop, like it just kind of limits what he could do with the ball in his hand. So to me, this is a question about the offense as a whole. It reinforces Jalen Brunson's importance. Like that was the thing with last night is like, we were texting towards the end of that game. I was texting with Jeff and we were both thinking the same thing. Like, should they take Brunson off the court? And the answer is no, you can't take him off the court because then how the fuck are they going to get anything going? So I will say, I think this is an issue against only the best defenses. Here's the problem.
I agree.
You're probably going to run into a few of those at some point down the line.
Yeah, like, look, if you eventually have to play the Thunder, this is going to be a thing.
Oh, forget that. Detroit.
Well, no, yeah, Detroit. And Orlando too, right?
Or Orlando. Yeah, it's a problem. I hope in time as they continue to get comfortable in Mike Brown's offense. And you know what? Good transition. Look at me. I'm going to go to my second question. Where is Karl-Anthony Towns? And I mean that in the metaphysical sense, perhaps. Because to just recap very briefly, this is a gentleman who sat in front of a microphone in the preseason, said very openly, bluntly, I don't know what my role is on this team. And since then, he has played 20 games, and his shooting numbers are easily the worst of his career. Where is Cat? How is Cat? Why is Cat? And you had a play last night, and shout out to James Edwards III, because I did not catch Josh Hart's reaction to the play in the moment. This was in his Athletic article this morning, where Cat went 1-on-2. Josh Hart was out behind the arc with his hands up, and Cat did not look his way, and it was a turnover, and it was a classic Cat turnover. And then there's Josh Hart being like, what's going on? And then what does Josh Hart say after the game? Again, shout out to James Edwards III for including this quote in his article. I wrote at, hold on, I don't know where I can't find the exact thing. It was like, we have to start. Oh, here it is. We have to make sure we're locked in on making sure the success of the team is the number one objective. If that wasn't a veiled shot at Cat, I don't know what is. So can we get to the place offensively? Forget about defense. Offensively, with this, where this team needs to be, where Karl-Anthony Towns is like maybe kind of bought in, because that's where I think we're at right now. I think he's kind of bought in, but I don't think that's enough.
Hey, look, I think we've seen this before, where you kind of want the guy to play one way, but he wants to play another way. I think we saw this at the end of Melo's career here, right? When he's like, no, I'm a 3. And I'm like, no, dude, you're a 4. No, I'm a 3. No, dude, you're a 4. And he eventually figured it out when he went to like 3 teams after the Knicks, and he finally decided to play the 4. And with the way Cat plays offense, he just doesn't want to shoot that 3 as much as he does. A couple games ago, J-Mac, you were talking about it, and he finally just started firing it away. Dude, shoot the 3. Yeah. It's the best thing you do. You like to call yourself the best shooting big man in the history of the league? Fine, then shoot the damn ball. Don't try to, dribble, drive, and run into 3 guys and do a double pump and chuck it off the backboard and scream foul. Like, that's not good offense. It's just not. Shoot the 3. And, if you get a small guy, do your little jump hook in the post, do your little flex afterwards. If you want to, drop step into the baseline and power up for a layup, that's fine too. But I've said this to you. I've said this to a lot of people. I know what an effective offensive play looks like in the NBA. Is there a more awkward looking play than the Karl-Anthony Towns long stride, loping drive with his arm, with stray voltage arms flying back and forth as he runs into a defender, screams foul for the 18th billionth time in the past 2 years as he throws up a ball at the basket that has very little chance of going in?
John,
of the best players in the league,
no
other player has moves as awkward as that. None.
I wouldn't care if the percentages were in our favor and it was. And look, you could look at his shooting numbers on drives. Even if you factor in the turnover percentage, which actually has not been that bad as a Knick, believe it or not. And you could look at it and be like, okay, that is still efficient offense. When you factor in the fact that some of those turnovers are offensive fouls, which hurts your team because he gets Cat in foul trouble and then he gets off the floor. And then when you factor in the falling on the ground, which we could just call it like it is. He does it on like 85% of the drives. He falls down. And even if the ball goes in, it's oftentimes a 5-on-4 in the other direction. I have trouble believing that is ever going to be a sustainable part of, like, a major part of a winning offense. That said, it is clear that Cat needs that for himself to feel
correct
what he wants to do. And that's where we're running long and we haven't even got to our third question yet. So we'll speed it up after this. But if you're the greatest shooting big man of all time, you are out there to shoot. You are hunting shots, because if you're the greatest at anything, you are there to do the thing that I don't know if I'm making sense or if this is like that's what you're there to do. The Steph Curry, you know what he wants to do? He wants to go out there and fucking shoot the three.
I know.
Because he's the greatest of all time. For Karl-Anthony Towns, he wants to use the threat of his three-pointer to set up all this other stuff.
And by the way, this is completely anecdotal. My feeling is that, John, a lot of those high efficiency numbers on those drives come against bad defensive teams.
Well, we could listen. There's a lot of ways we could pick the stuff apart if we want to. I'm trying to be kind here.
Yes.
The point is, I have fully believe that his early season shooting numbers are what they are because he's not comfortable, and it's because he's being asked to do the things that that you are asking him to do, and people have asked him to do for years. And I don't know where this situation ends up. I'll have another question coming up that will be somewhat related to this, but I will turn to you. What is your number 3 question?
Is Josh Hart's 3-point shooting for real?
Oh, that's
Has
good.
The addition of a Knicks shooting coach turned Josh Hart into a good 3-point shooter? Has the nerve damage in the finger actually helped his jump shot instead of hurt it?
I love it. I'm going to choose to believe that it is. It's not 40% real. But
is it 37%?
So the thing for me with Hart, and again, you can't separate the below the neck stuff with Hart from the above the neck stuff.
So is it real to the point that he has confidence to shoot it when he's open? How about that?
That's the key, because everybody goes through slumps. Steph Curry goes through slumps.
Correct.
Josh Hart needs to continue shooting it with confidence enough that his slumps don't result in 2 weeks where he takes 5 threes or 6, whatever. Something like that.
Yes.
That's a great question. And I think it actually relates to it relates to my number. I'll just say my number 5 now. Theo, you don't have to put it up. My number 5 question is who should start when OG Anunoby comes back.
Ooh,
and I think the Josh. I hate when we reduce Josh Hart down to like, is he a floor spacer? Is he not a floor spacer? Because I think there's so much more about what he brings to the table and what he takes off the table than just that. That being said, I do think when it comes down to like who should be the 5th starter, your question, is he a shooter now? It probably is the number 1 thing on the list there.
Yeah, even if he's not a shooter, he's still a useful player. That's the thing. But if he becomes a shooter on top of all the other stuff that he does, then he becomes a guy you have to play 35 minutes a game because he's that impactful, despite the fact, to your point, the defense comes and goes.
Yeah, 30. I mean, if he's this level of shooter, he's definitely a 30-minute player. If he's not this level of shooter, he's more like a 20, 25 minute a game player. So let's hope it continues. All right,
I would go Mitch. I think I would go Twin Towers. By the way, to your answer, I think that if Mitch is the guy we all think he can be, I think that would still be my starting lineup. Mitch and Towns together.
Game 1 of the playoffs. Who's
the opponent? I honestly
we
think
keep going back and forth with questions. What seed are the Knicks? Let's say that.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, what seed do you think they'll be? You have to predict right now. What seed do you think the Knicks will be?
2.
That was the first answer that popped into my mind.
And I don't know who one is going to be. I don't know who one's going to be, but I think the Knicks will be 2.
So let's say their first round opponent is again off the dome. I think it's going to be not in this order, but I think it's going to be Pistons, Knicks, Heat, Magic, Cavs. Man, are the Celtics really? Is this really? Are they going to go for it? You know what? Let's have some fun. Congratulations, Toronto Raptors. You are the New York Knicks first round. Talk about some fucking conversations that would happen during that series. It's Toronto. Toronto is the answer. Who's your game 1 starting lineup?
Toronto.
Pirtle,
you're fine with Towns guarding him. I think you're okay with that. So I think I would probably go with the Hart lineup that they're running out there now.
Toronto's big. It's honestly, you know why you might have to go with the Hart lineup? Because if you start Mitch, you're putting Mitch on Pirtle. Like you're guarding Mitch. So then where are you trying to hide Towns?
Exactly right. It would be Scotty Barnes.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. Sorry, no.
Well, yes. I mean, but that's the problem. There are no other good answers to that equation.
No. That would be man. We'll see how. I'm still waiting for the shooting regression to fully come for Toronto. But I'm curious how real that team is. Maybe it's disrespectful for me to give them the 7th seed. They're 2 right now. So what the hell do I know?
And I also think Deuce is too small to be in the starting lineup in that series.
Yeah, man. The question
he's been great, by the way. He's been awesome.
He's been awesome. And there's a part I said it the other night. There's a part of me that wants to continue starting him, even when OG comes back. And yet the size thing, I think, will rear its head against certain teams. So we'll see who those are.
There's a reason his minutes have only bounced about 2 or 3 minutes a game, even with the injuries. Yeah. He's only about 3 more minutes a game than what he was playing last year, which I think people that would scream for more Deuce, that they're quiet now, but it's not that much different.
He is a 20 to 25 minute a game player, right?
And he's a really good 20 to 25 minute player. He's terrific at it. He's awesome, really good. Will the Knicks get better on the road, Jonathan Macri?
Oh, that's your number 4.
Yeah. Because they have to. I mean, they stink.
I mean, they can't be this.
You have to win a road game eventually. I mean, they're awful.
They're 3-6 on the road. So but they're also 10-1 or 9-1, whatever the hell.
Yeah, but eventually you're gonna have to win a tough playoff game on the road. And I don't know what's up, because last year they did that all the time, and I don't know what's going on with this group with Mike Brown, but they stink on the road right now, and it's a problem.
They do. I'm not worried yet. But I could see myself being worried in like a few weeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, let's finish up. My number 3 question is, and this is again a longer discussion. How aggressive or conservative should the Knicks be with their assets at the trade deadline? And I want to be very clear that the Knicks do not have a ton of assets right now. They have the fake Wizards first that is going to convert to 2 seconds, including
very fake.
Yes, but it's probably going to be the first second round pick of this year's draft, which is a nice.
Yes,
and as you have covered the NFL for decades here, having that like first pick on the second day, there's some value to that, right? Because you get teams have time to kind of redo their boards and the whole thing. So that'll have value. They have a swap in 2032. That's the most valuable asset, I would say, that they have. I think it's more, my 2 cents, I think it's more valuable than Deuce. I think it's more valuable than the Pistons pick. I think it's more valuable than anything. But the reason I asked this question is because if you basically trade away everything you have to trade now, not even Deuce, just your draft assets, the future swap, the Wizards pick, fake Wizards first, it probably whatever your percentage chances of being able to land Giannis in the summer are, whether that you, I don't know, 15%, 10%, 8%, 20%, whatever the number is, it goes down considerably because you need everything to throw at Milwaukee to make a commensurate offer. And it really does come down to like how all in do you want to be for this year? And I honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. That's why I asked it.
I told my powder. I have to keep myself alive for Giannis. You know, all the questions that we had, pardon me, about Karl-Anthony Towns during this conversation, John, I think you have to leave yourself open to being able to make that move. And whether or not Cat's involved in that move, or if it's a tertiary move, or it's a three-way trade, whatever the case might be, Giannis and Cat can't be on the same team together, in my opinion, at least. But
well, just functionally, I mean, yes, can you construct trades salary-wise that have Giannis coming in and Karl-Anthony Towns still on the team?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how that team makes. I've thought about it.
That is not a winning
doesn't
formula.
make sense.
No, it doesn't. So yeah, I hold my powder. I don't think you're going to be able to bring somebody in with what you have at the trade deadline anyway. If it's like a deuce swap for a wing, maybe, but I'm not moving picks.
But even then, if it's a wing that you actually want, and it's like Tari Eason's the guy that has been mentioned for months here, like you're given, like it's going to be deuce and some like probably if I was Houston, I'd be like, okay, great, we'd like to surprise a nice little player. Give me the future unprotected swap and the Wizards pick, and then maybe we'll have a conversation, because Tari Eason's like what everybody wants. He's a fucking 6'7", 6'8", all defense caliber wing who could do a little bit with the ball on offense too. So it's like, you know, anyway, but he's hurt also all the time. So that's another, and he's about to get a big raise. Give me your last question.
I was honestly going to be, do you think Giannis Antetokounmpo is a member of the Knicks in 2026? God. What the hell? I figured I'd throw the whopper in at the end.
What is it? What's the answer for you?
No, just because I think it's such a small eye of a needle to thread. You have to have, and you've said this a million times, and so have I. You need to have Giannis say, that's where I want to go. I'm not going anywhere else. You have to rope in another third team, I think, to make a trade work in terms of getting Milwaukee the assets that they would want in a trade like that. But we've seen great players force their way to teams before, which is why it is not out of the question to me. And I think if this group of Knicks doesn't work to win a title, and unfortunately, look, I think it is like this for most teams, it's more likely no than yes at this point, based on what we've seen. Again, not to say they can't make the finals. I love the Knicks' chance to make the finals this year. I think they got a real good chance, but it's still, relatively speaking, a low percentage, right? I'm not going to rule it out, but I think probably not. But I think there's let me put it this way. Am I going to be sitting there on pins and needles on end of June? Yes. Yes, I will.
You know what? Here, I'm going to say two quick things, and then I'll give you my last question, and we'll finish up. The best thing I think that could have possibly happened for the Knicks' chances of landing Giannis has kind of been happening this year, which is that the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs, who I think you could credibly look at, because Oklahoma City's not trading for you. Oklahoma City doesn't need to trade for anybody. They're fucking Oklahoma City. Look, if Oklahoma City decides they want Giannis and Giannis wants to go there, then fucking just fold the league. I don't know what else to say. The Rockets and Spurs can credibly look themselves in the mirror and be like, you know what? We're actually better off not trading what it would take to get a guy who is that age and shift our timeline that much, because for Houston, Amin Thompson and Sengun have been so good. And then the Spurs have like everything going for them. And then you look elsewhere and there's not, I mean, the only other team, and I'm spoiling, I'm going to, for my NBA show, NBA Takedown, we're going to be talking about this team extensively today, and Giannis will come up. The Atlanta Hawks, if the Atlanta Hawks wanted to try to get in the Giannis sweepstakes today, they absolutely could. And
so many young players that are good on that team. Ugh.
And that's a frightening thought, because they might look at the situation and say, wait a minute. So, okay, he leaves after 2 years. We haven't been to the fucking NBA finals since Bob Pettit was playing it. I mean, I'm not being facetious in the league. Let's get 2 bites at the apple with Giannis. And then if we can't convince him to stay, all right, we can't convince him to stay. That's, but like, what are we giving up? We're giving up Trae Young, who we probably want to get rid of anyway. And we're giving up, this pick that's found money. And the Pelicans pick. So we'll see.
Now, just a fun follow-up in a potential Giannis trade. Would you rather trade Bridges or OG?
So that's the other part of the equation for me. I'm now at the point where it's less about can they get him, and it's more about if they have to do Towns and OG, and to be clear, OG going somewhere where somebody paying a bunch of picks and sending those picks to Milwaukee. Is there a version of the Knicks that I'm left with after that trade that I can credibly look at and say they could still win a title? And I don't. Again, I would need to see what else, because I think there would have to be some other stuff that would happen.
Do you think Bridges or OG are more valuable to the team right now? I go back and forth. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I think if I was the Knicks, I think OG is the more valuable player when he's on the floor. I think Mikal Bridges is the more important player for me to keep, because if you sent out Bridges and you kept OG with the uncertainty of OG's health, and the fact that he just misses games all the time, and then if you lose him and you don't have Bridges, then you're just not a competitive basketball, like a seriously competitive basketball team.
Yeah, you're the Lillard, Giannis Bucks. That's what you are.
That's exactly what you are. If you keep Mikal and you have Giannis, I figure you still have Hart, although there's all kinds of, this is what I mean. There's like spacing questions. Like
it's hard
to play. It's tricky. It gets awfully tricky, awfully fast. Okay.
If you're rolling out Mitch, Giannis, Hart, Bridges, Brunson, that's a legitimate starting 5, though. It's a legit starting.
Give me that again.
Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Giannis, Mitch. I know you don't have any shooting.
I was about to say 2 guys who like to be in the. So that's honestly, we could do a whole episode.
We could do a whole show on this. Yes.
At some point, me and Jeremy, I think, are going to do a whole show on Giannis pretty soon. But like, Giannis has not really shown. Like, if you're going to have Giannis, you kind of have to have him with a spacing 5. Like,
no, you're right about that. I don't disagree.
So I don't know how that goes. My last question.
All right, so you just put Yabusele at the 5 and you're fine.
Oh, well.
Hello? What? Hello?
You never know, John. He has that player option, so he may be going to see that big. He may going to seek that big payday this summer,
and then go to the big buffet afterwards. Hello.
If they put a team in Vegas, does Yabu demand a trade there just because of the all you can eat? What's the best all you can eat buffet in Vegas? Is it the Wynn? I have no idea.
The Bellagio was one that I always used to go to.
Bellagio? Okay.
Yeah. Back when I was allowed to go to Las Vegas and not get fired from my job.
No, but don't worry. Yabu says his conditioning should not be an issue, so it's not an issue. It's fine.
Those 8 minutes a game are really taxing. I get it.
It's super valuable. My last question was related to your earlier question about what does the Knicks' ideal defensive scheme look like, and from that, I purely mean like, in their perfect world, like, what are they like? Is it we're a top 10 team in terms of like opponent rim frequency, and we're going to be bottom 5 in opponent 3-point percentage? Like, do we need to be top 5 in turnover percentage for this to work? Is top 10 in turnover percentage? Is that good enough? Like, in Mike Brown's perfect world, what does he envision? Because you can't take away everything. It's just you can't, unless you're Oklahoma City, you can't take away everything, and every other NBA team has to make compromises. So what does Mike Brown foresee as like the Knicks, their perfect world, in terms of the compromises that they will need to make this work?
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost they've turned into a bit of a high risk defense where they get a lot of steals. And he said, "Look, I don't care about steals, but they get a lot of steals. Like, it's just kind of how the defense
they have
looked.
to. They have, if for this to work, they have to generate those turnovers. And look, they have done it. And Mikal Bridges, I think he is still first in the league in pick sixes, to use a football term. So I don't know. I'm like not as worried about the defense as other people, which is maybe crazy, but that's where I'm
at. Look, I think this team will also have a turn it on factor when you get to like big moments in the playoffs too, where maybe they just haven't decided they need to do it yet because of where they are in the year. I think that's part of it. I'm going to ask you one quick express bonus one, if you don't mind. Will any of the Knicks draft picks the last 3 years be a real member of this rotation when you get to the postseason?
Define real. No, the answer is no.
I would say consistently 8 to 12 minutes a game.
The answer is no. And
Kolek has the best shot at it, you think? Or do you think Diawara might show up at some point, even though he looked like he had no idea what he was doing when he played?
John, if they're, I like what we see from Diawara.
No, I agree with you.
If Mohamed Diawara is playing 8 to 12 minutes per playoff game, something has gone so ass backwards wrong with this season. Again, no
like I said
to that gentleman.
No, he's learning. He's young.
He's learning and
he's
young.
Still trying to figure things out. I get it.
My answer is no, and it's funny we've been talking for over 50 minutes and we haven't said the name Chris Paul once. Something tells me that it's not an accident from you. I don't know if he has anything left, and he may have nothing left. Distinct possibility. I don't know who has who has the best relationship with someone on the Clippers staff. Can someone on the Knicks coaching staff get on the phone with someone from the Clippers coaching staff and be like, give it to me straight. Is there anything still there?
Yeah.
And if the answer to that question is yes, I would try to figure out a way to bring Chris Paul to the team.
No, I'd be fine with that too. And by the way, I think Kolek's actually looked pretty good the last few games. I think he's actually had some moments where I think you're pretty happy with it. The problem is that once people start pressuring the ball on him and get physical with him, he he can't move the ball on offense well enough, and it's a problem.
I just think the question that neither of us asked that could have been both of our first questions is what is the point of this season? Because if the point of this season is to develop Kolek a little bit and get in some experience and see where you're at, yada, 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 okay, that's great. If the point of this season is solely to win a championship, there is no big playoff series against a real playoff team where Tyler Kolek can see minutes.
I totally agree.
So, again, what are we doing here? What is the point? I agree with you. He's shown nice signs, but I can't go crazy about this.
Which is disappointing, by the way. Both of us talked about the importance once you get to this apron area for those guys you picked late in the first round and the second round to develop into something. Well, and we have not seen that quite yet. The
guy that was supposed to turn into a real thing potentially was Become Dadier, and I'm there's a part of me that's still shocked they picked up his third-year option.
The problem is that we knew he was such a project, dude. We just knew when they picked him, he was more like a second-round pick. He was young, but I don't disagree. I'm with you.
So fine, then show me what Mohamed Diawara has shown me this year. We're a year ahead with Dadier, and he hasn't shown what Diawara already has.
Yeah, I agree.
So
totally fair. Totally fair.
That's my issue. John, as usual, I could sit here and I could talk to you for hours about basketball, about football, about life, parenting, all sorts of things. But you need to go enjoy your time off.
I have 3 straight days off and a weekend, John. I don't have to go back to work till Monday. I cannot be. I have a whole house to clean. I'm so excited to clean my house. I can't even tell you.
I listen, from what I understand about this Giants season, I can't blame you for being excited to clean your house. So I'll leave it at that. Plugger, promote something, please.
Yeah. We don't have any live shows this week. Big Blue Kickoff Live, though, is our live show. It's every weekday, 12:30 to 1:30, Giants.com, Giants app, Giants YouTube channel. We're off this week. We're letting everybody take a few days off. We'll be back next week. We do have a bunch of Giants Huddle podcasts coming up, though. You can find that on all those same platforms, your favorite podcast channel. A lot of good stuff going up there. We're doing our draft coverage like we do every year with draft season. So if you're a Giants fan or just a football fan, check it out. I think we do some really good content. And, of course, I'm now doing the pre- and post-game before the games and after the games on WFAN with Tiki Barber, and he's been great to work with. What a good dude. And he really brings, I think, invaluable insight for Giant fans that are out there pre- and post-game on the Fan. Before every Giant game. Our next broadcast, they come back, play the Commanders at 1 o'clock, not this Sunday, but the following one. So check it out.
So WFAN for the pre- and post-game.
Yep.
Giants Huddle is the podcast.
Yep.
And then for
Big Blue Kickoff is the live show. Yeah.
And that's what you're searching on YouTube and everything else. And
yeah. Giants YouTube channel, Giants app, Giants.com, You can find it at all those places.
At what time? And that's usually every day. What time is that?
Yeah. The Big Blue Kickoff is our live show every day from 12:30 to 1:30 during the week.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
And we take phone calls. So if you guys are angry out there or just want to yell at somebody, that's why we're here. You do that post game with John for the Knicks. You do that with me after Giant games. It's fun.
Listen, and the Giants are still in the hunt for a top pick, I'm assuming?
Right now, they have the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft, believe it or not.
Dude, I swear I'm asking this question because I don't know the answer and not because I'm being a dick. Do the Jets have the first pick?
No, the Jets do not. They actually won this week, the Jets. So the Jets actually dropped further down. Right now, the Tennessee Titans have the 1st overall pick in the draft.
Didn't they just have the first pick?
That would be correct.
I know something about football. See, I knew that. Cam Ward?
They selected Cam Ward last year with the 1st overall pick. That is
he any good?
I think he's going to be they but it has been the Titans are not. It's been a rough year for them.
Not a good football team.
No, they're not. Dude, they already fired their coach, and that was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. So yeah,
didn't they just fire Vrabel not long ago? Am I?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So things are not going.
No, things are not going well for them. They fired Vrabel at the end of 2024, then 2023, and then they hired Brian Callahan. He coached them for a year and a half, or a little less than a year and a half, and then that was the end of that.
Okay. Well, there you go. Look, I'm excited. I'll follow the Giants draft coverage because it's cool when one of the local football teams has a high pick in the draft to see what they might do. And there's always
not a great draft though, John. Not a great draft this year. No, it is a struggle to find guys that are normally top 10 worthy picks in this year's class. It's not the best.
All right, I'm sorry. Last one. Is there a glaring need for the Giants? What should they be looking at?
I'd say wide receiver, corner, maybe a defensive tackle. Offensive line is always something, but I think you want to get a wide receiver next to Neighbors that really, I think, pushes the envelope on the offense a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, that's exciting. Always love a good young wide receiver.
They're fun. And you can always find wide receivers in the draft. There's a million of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Listen, nobody's better than John at talking about the Giants. He gives me something to aspire to here talking about the Knicks. Thank you for taking the time on your day off to come and talk some basketball. I look forward. Not that I look forward to the end of the Giants season, but I look forward to when your time is a little freed up so we could do this again on a more
And by the way, basis. And John, congratulations on all the extra stuff you guys are doing and kind of just diving in headfirst to all this stuff, man. I'm very happy for you. It's great.
I appreciate it. It's been a lot. I'm still getting used to balancing everything. I'm going live again in 44 minutes for NBA Takedown. It's been cool getting that show off the ground and just being able to talk NBA basketball a couple times.
So actually, let me ask you, who do you think has the best chance of knocking the Thunder off this year?
Who do I think has the best chance of beating the Thunder in a 7-game series?
Yeah, correct.
Man, there is a part of me that actually thinks the Lakers should at least be in the conversation. They're not my answer, but I'm just I'm compiling a list of teams in my head that I think could realistically do it, absent a badly sprained ankle for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which is about the hope that I would give the Knicks this year. I will say between the Nuggets and the Rockets. Man, I know they started Reed Shepherd a couple games ago, and clearly the fact that they're experimenting with that now means there is at least some internal acknowledgement that hey, we have to give this a little bit more of a shot to see it because they know they need the playmaking. They know they need the juice because I just don't think you're going to be able to score enough against that OKC team without something like that in there. And yet Reed Shepherd is still young and he is a defensive liability. So I will go with the team that has probably the top 5 player or a top 5 player of all time. I'll go with Denver. They just need to be healthy. Gordon, it's such a shame because I think he would have been an all-star this year if Aaron Gordon did not get hurt. And he was playing that well. I'll go with Denver.
All right. I mean, look, you can't go wrong with Jokic, man. He's awesome.
He's pretty good ball player.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens. John, this has been great. Everybody catch John on Giants.com, on WFAN before and after games. And then I already forgot the name of the podcast again.
Giants Huddle Podcast and Big Blue Kickoff Live. Those are the two.
Giants Huddle Podcast. Catch them all those places. If you want a little bit more hoops talk today, tune in to NBA Takedown live at noon. Myself, Jeff, and Sean are going to be playing GM of the Atlanta Hawks. We're gonna have some fun with that because I feel they're like one of the most interesting teams in the league for me right now. And then, of course, you can catch me on the post game after tonight's Hornets game, where hopefully the Knicks will get back on the winning track. Until all of that, on behalf of John, I am Jonathan Macri, and we will talk to you soon. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.